Hello everyone, welcome to today's video and this is your friend Bharat Shankar. Vodafone Idea is the third largest telecom company in India with over 25 crore subscribers. But this large company is crumbling under debt which has about 2.5 lakh crore of debt burden. And to make this situation worse, Vodafone Idea is losing subscribers at an alarming rate, where the company lost about 40 lakh subscribers in the month of September 2022. But on the other side, Jio and Airtel are adding more customers and more users. But if you rewind and go a few years back, then you will find that Vodafone Idea had literally everything it needed to succeed as a telecom company. But today the company is on the brink of extinction. And some of you might think that Reliance Jio is responsible for this, but you will be surprised to know that it was not Reliance Jio, but it was Vodafone Idea who created their grand story of failure with their own self-confidence and poor business decisions. So in today's video, we'll exactly discuss about this and try to understand what happened which brought Vodafone Idea to the brink of collapse. But before we go forward, I'd like to tell you that me and my team, we really work very hard to make such kind of a quality content for you guys. And if you like to appreciate us for that, then you can press the like button and like the video, and you can also subscribe to the channel. And most importantly, please make sure to press the bell notification so that you get an immediate update as soon as we upload a new video. So to begin with, Vodafone and Idea had been two of the strongest players in the Indian telecom sector before 2016. Because if you see, during that time, after Airtel, it was Vodafone and Idea who were the second and third largest telecom companies in terms of subscriber base. But everything changed in September 2016 when Reliance Jio entered the market. Because initially they offered free service, because of which companies like Airtel, Vodafone and Idea lost subscribers. And later when Reliance Jio started charging, the tariffs were at rock bottom and they also offered cheap data powered by their brand new 4G network. And this was something that was never seen in the telecom sector before, and none of the rivals could stand against Reliance Jio. And slowly telecom companies started disappearing from the market, and out of 12 telecom companies, now the market had only 3 telecom companies, which is Airtel, Jio and Vodafone Idea. And in the present scenario, Airtel and Jio are growing and Vodafone Idea is struggling to survive. So now many of you might think that Jio is completely responsible for this condition of Vodafone Idea, but that is not the case, because Vodafone Idea has itself made some mistakes that are responsible for the situation. So now let's try to understand how Vodafone Idea dug its own grave, and to understand further how it all started, we need to understand two terms. The first term is licensing fees and the second term is spectrum usage charges. So to understand them in simple words, our phone needs signal to work. And where does this signal come from? This signal comes from the spectrum. And in India, the owner of this spectrum is the government of India. So in simple words, the government owns the spectrum, and if the telecom companies want to use the spectrum, then they need to pay an initial licensing fee and an additional charge for the usage of spectrum to the government of India. As simple as that. So in the year 1991, after liberalization, the telecom sector was open for the private players. But the initial licensing fees and the spectrum usage charges were so high, because of which most of the private players couldn't afford to pay them, because of which the telecom sector was falling behind. And as a result, the government decided to revise their plan and they bought a revenue sharing model in the year 1999. And under this new regime, the mobile phone operators were required to share a percentage of their annual gross revenues, or AGR, with the government of India as an annual licensing fees and spectrum usage charges. And this was supposed to relieve the telecom players, because now they don't have to pay a big upfront amount as licensing fees and spectrum usage charges. But this revenue sharing model did the exact opposite, because instead of reducing the burden from telecom players, it actually increased the burden multiple times on the telecom players. And how did this happen? This happened because of the misunderstanding on how to define a telecom company's annual gross revenues, or AGR. Because according to the DOT, or the Department of Telecommunication, the AGR should include all the revenues from both telecom and the non-telecom services provided by that telecom company. But the telecom players claim that the AGR should include only the revenue that comes from the core services, which is telecom operations. And AGR should not include the other income, which can be dividend income or interest income or profits that are earned from the sale of investment or any fixed asset. And because of this misunderstanding on how to define the annual gross revenues, or AGR, in the year 2005, the Cellular Operators Association of India, or the COAI, challenged the government's definition of AGR calculation. And this litigation went for a very long time, and after 20 years, Department of Telecommunication, or DOT, finally won the case in the the year 2019. And the court ordered that the annual gross revenues of telecom companies, or the AGR, from which they have to share a percentage to the government, should include all income whether it is from telecom or non-telecom services. And now this was very painful for the telecom players because they were now ordered to pay all the dues for the last 20 years from 1999 till the year 2019. And now telecom players owed about 1.65 lakh crores in AGR dues to the government of India, and out of which Vodafone Idea owed 59,236 crore rupees. And because of Reliance Jio, the market was already disrupted, and now the AGR dues made the survival chances of Vodafone Idea even worse. But even after that, Vodafone Idea would have been in a better position if they have not made some wrong business decisions. For example, in the year 2020, Reliance raised about 43,574 crore rupees from Facebook by selling 9.99% of its shares. So now the question is that why Reliance Jio did that, and why did Mukesh Ambani sacrificed his stake or ownership in the company for money? Because if Mukesh Ambani wanted, then they could have easily taken a loan from any bank for the same amount. So to answer why Mukesh Ambani sold his stake to raise money is because he wanted a safe and sustainable growing business. Because if you see in telecom, the business is very capital intensive, where you need to spend a lot of money to buy spectrum and establish telecom infrastructure, and you also need to keep spending a lot of money on constant technology upgradations. For example, upgrading from 3G to 4G, 4G to 5G and so on. And because of this heavy investment, if a telecom company has to grow faster, then it should have good amount of scope to raise funds from both equity and debt. But the problem with debt is that it reduces profitability because of interest payments, and existing debt will also reduce the scope of raising more funds via debt in the future. And this is the exact reason why Jio is attempting to pay all of its debt, so that in future if they need more funds for expansion, then Reliance Jio can raise funds by selling its stake at a very higher valuation, because the company's balance sheet is very strong because it only carries a very small amount of debt. So this way Mukesh Ambani has made Reliance Jio capable of raising more funds at a very higher valuation, covering almost all the potential funds needed for expansion in the next 10 to 15 years of time period. And that too without losing any significant stake in the company, because they are selling a very small stake at a very higher valuation to raise a lot of money. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, the thought process of Mukesh Ambani and the exact reason why Mukesh Ambani is so successful in business. But on the other hand, before Reliance Jio came into the market, Vodafone and Idea were very confident that nothing could happen to them, because after Airtel, it was Vodafone and Idea who were at the number 2 and number 3 position in the telecom industry. And even before Vodafone and Idea merged into a single company, Idea was already carrying bigger loan on their book, because in the year 2011, Idea had about 12,000 crore of debt burden, and in just 5 years, this 12,000 crore debt burden bubbled into a 40,000 crore debt trap. And on the other hand, Vodafone had its own debt burden, and finally in the year 2017, when these two companies were merged, the resulting balance sheet of the company already carried a huge amount of debt burden, which was eating away major parts of profits and sending the company into losses. And also this huge debt burden discouraged banks and lenders to support Vodafone Idea's expansion plans and upgradation plans. And because of these reasons, the company is making losses, and at the same time they are also losing massive amount of subscribers. And presently if you see, Vodafone Idea as a company is still in a very bad situation, but according to few of the recent developments, it is said that Government of India intends to acquire a stake in Vodafone Idea, but the Department of Telecommunication also has a condition attached to this acquisition, where Department of Telecommunication or DOT has said that it will clear the acquisition only after the stock price or share price of Vodafone Idea stabilizes at 10 rupees or above. And according to this deal, Vodafone Idea's 16,000 crore rupees of interest liability payable towards the government will be converted into equity shares. And if this happens, then the DOT or the Government of India will own about 33% stake in the company, while the promoters holding in the company will reduce from 74.99% to 50%. And if government successfully converts debt into equity, then this can give some minor relief to Vodafone Idea. But even after that, the company still needs to figure out how to manage more than 2,20,000 crores of debt burden. But But the story doesn't end here, because even along with this massive debt burden, the company also needs to figure out how to gather funds to keep upgrading their technology, because in telecom sector, if you don't upgrade, then you will soon go out of business. And because of this reason, in telecom industry, investing heavily in upgrading technology is not an option but a business requirement. And generally in telecom sector, such kind of a upgradation require a large sum of money, which are usually funded by banks in the form of loan. And this is where Vodafone Idea gets into trouble, because the company already have so much of unmanageable debt, because of which the banks are scared and not willing to give loan to Vodafone Idea. And because of this massive challenge, the company is not able to upgrade their technology time to time. And this is one of the major reasons why Vodafone Idea is losing subscribers at an alarming rate, and it is expected that the company will continue to lose subscribers in the near term, because the company is still not able to figure out how to manage funds or how to gather funds to upgrade their technology. And along with all these difficulties, Vodafone Idea is also accumulating heavy losses, because of which with every passing day the business is becoming unsustainable. So right now the situation for Vodafone Idea is very tough, and in the near future the present situation can translate into two possible outcomes. Either Vodafone Idea will continue to accumulate debt and losses and will reach a point where it will be too much to handle for the company, and the company will either have to close the doors and shut down the company, or they can sell their operations to Airtel or Jio and exit from the telecom sector. So this is outcome number one, where Vodafone Idea will end forever. But then there is option number two, and in this option, if Vodafone Idea somehow manages to gather funds or find some investors who can fund their debt and losses for time being, then Vodafone Idea can save itself from drowning and stay afloat. And once they manages to stay afloat, then maybe in the near future or in the long term, there is a small hope or a chance for Vodafone Idea to make a comeback and make its business and financials once again sustainable. But having said that, at present, Vodafone Idea is racing against time to survive. And we will have to wait and watch to see if Vodafone Idea will make a comeback and write history, or it will collapse to become history. And also, what is your opinion on Vodafone Idea? And will you invest in Vodafone Idea stock for long term? You can write down in the comment section. So that's it for today guys, and I hope today's video was informative. And if you think so, then please make sure to press the like button and like the video, and you can also subscribe to the channel. And most importantly, you can press the bell notification so that you get an immediate update as soon as we upload a new video. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Until then, this is your friend Bharat Shankar signing off.